Hi, welcome to my media company report. Today I will be examining HBO. The topics discussed in this will be HBO's business model, their content strategy, market and audience, production and distribution strategy, as well as their product marketing at a national and international level. A brief history of HBO first. The company was started in 1971 by Charles Dolan. It was initially labeled as the Green Channel at the company's start before switching to Home Box Office, or HBO for short, in 1972. It faced major competition of the oligopoly of the big three networks, which comprised of ABC, NBC, and CBS. Company was initially owned under Time Incorporated. Of course, HBO has gone through several mergers, including being under Time Warner, a merger of Time Warner with AOL, as well as another merger in 2018 with AT&T, and finally, in 2021, becoming a subsidiary of Warner Brothers Discovery. HBO's first major success came from the broadcast of the Thrilla and Manila fight, a boxing match that was broadcasted by satellite through Satcom 1, the first broadcast of its kind. HBO's business model. HBO operates as a monthly subscription service. Through this, customers pay a designated amount each month, currently at $15. To receive access to HBO's content. Because of this, HBO airs no commercials during its programming, as it has no need for filling advertising spots as compared to the major networks. The company relies very heavily on its subscriber base, drawing in $7.7 billion alone from its U.S. subscribers in 2021. HBO, however, does offer small advertising within its original programming at times. This will usually come in the form of product placement, such as Apple products or Jeep, most notably. The channel was initially offered through cable and was separated from typical cable packages in the 70s. However, it eventually became part of a promotion or special pairing with many premium cable packages through the 80s and is still offered through the present day. HBO in the digital age. HBO has kept with trends and constantly evolved with the distribution of its product. It was the first company to implement cable broadcasting and eventually ushered it in the early to mid-70s. While HBO was not first in streaming, it made sure to keep up with its competitors through apps such as HBO Go and HBO Now, which were launched in 2010. Both apps were retained for a decade before being phased out and essentially combined to create HBO Max in 2020. Combining it into one app allowed the company to more directly compete with streaming giants at the time and currently, such as Netflix, Hulu, and Amazon Prime. However, now, in 2023, after its buyout from Warner Brothers Discovery, HBO has now merged with Discovery Plus to form a new streaming service titled Max, which includes content from both Discovery Plus and HBO. HBO's programming. Initially, the channel had very little success, with service being that of being only re-airing films after their initial theater run. And this continued through most of the 70s. However, in 1984, under CEO Michael Fuchs at the time, HBO began shifting the company's target audience towards young urban professionals. Boxing was HBO's main source of content from the 1970s through the 90s. HBO was so prominent that it had deals with famous boxers, such as Mike Tyson and Floyd Mayweather being most notable. The company eventually gained a monopoly over the boxing industry by owning exclusive rights to stage and broadcast all primetime and major bouts. Through the mid-80s and 90s, HBO branched out of movies and sports with new original programming and documentaries, such as Mr. Show and Taxicab Confessions. It's not TV, it's HBO. Jeffrey Bukes was promoted as CEO of HBO in 1995, and one of his first orders of business was raising the investment in original programming by $50 million per year to more than $300 million, according to Christopher Anderson of the Essential HBO Reader. The plan was intended to create new shows that conveyed a strong cinematic style and an emphasis on adult themes. Sex and the City and The Sopranos, airing in 1998 and 1999 respectively, both became major staples of HBO and elevated the company's prestige and popularity to new peaks. HBO's new original programs have influenced the TV industry to this day, as many channels competed to create their own similar hits. Over the years, HBO has continued its success with original programming such as Game of Thrones, Euphoria, and White Lotus. HBO across the globe. HBO has been a part of the international markets for a while, first entering into it in 1999 with HBO Latin America and HBO Europe. HBO Latino is the most successful of HBO's international subsidiaries, with a large collection of documentaries, films, and original programming specific to the regions that it airs. In 1992, HBO Asia was launched. It initially broadcasted only in Singapore, but has branched out to over 22 regions by 2007. Much success has come from HBO's ability to adapt to different regions and markets and cultures. HBO has partnered with studios in other nations to create its own original programming, such as Mexico, Japan, Taiwan, and India. Practices like this promote localism in international media markets and helps to foster a smaller sense of cultural imperialism. Concluding, HBO has grown as a media giant over its 50-plus years of existing. It has maintained success with an ad-free subscription-based model that offers high-quality content to their consumers. On the forefront of new technology, HBO has continuously adapted to new forms of content distribution. As well, it has held a strong foothold in several international markets for over 3 decades through a blend of US and region-specific content. Now, when comparing my report with what I had asked ChatGPT to write, I noticed several strengths and several weaknesses. The strengths being, it was very fast at generating the report, taking only a few, not even a minute. It was specific to the topics I had given it, and created a fairly good foundation on each subject that was proposed to it. Weaknesses. The ChatGPT report lacked a human tone and felt very monotonous. While it generates a good summary, it lacks very much detail, even sometimes missing very key points to the topics given. As well, it was short on its required length. In conclusion, ChatGPT has great potential to create a foundation for media market analyzation, but would need expansion from human input. Of course, as the AI learns, it may become much more detailed in its perspectives and analyzations. That concludes my presentation on HBO, and here are the main references used for this presentation. Thank you.